Cheaters are everywhere, and since we live in a world where everyone is married and divorced, it's not just singles or widows who need to figure out how to spot a cheater. It's all couples who have committed to another person. Why do so many marriages fail? I think you can get some idea from this story. Today's story is about Opus was record that the love of his life had betrayed him, their marriage vows, and their grown children. He was going to destroy that woman and make her pay for her lie and deceit. Okay, let's go to the story and see what she did in their marriage. My name is Gerard Downs. I am a primary school teacher, so have very predictable work commitments. At school at set times with each Tuesday afternoon staff meetings which always went to 6 p.m. This meant I was always home by 7. My lovely wife of 31 years Terry was always very tired on Tuesday evening because of her gym workouts, so I usually prepared dinner while she showered and made beds, etc. Our school principal had a surprise visit from the area inspector, so unexpectedly called off the staff meeting today. I went back to my classroom and finished marking for the day. It was still only 3:30. On a whim, I decided to go home and prepare dinner early and maybe do some remaining house tidy, etc. before Terry returned from gym. She had steadily been growing more distant recently, and I thought that a candlelight dinner and relaxed atmosphere with no urgent house logistics might spark some intimacy and relight the fires of passion between us. I was resigned to fate in our marriage, usually some money-related issue. I had noticed her becoming more and more distant from me. She increasingly wanted to control all aspects of our lives and became hard-headed and argumentative when she didn't get her way. I was a patient man. Today, I arrived home as I usually do, by parking in our garage, which was a long way from the house. This garage positioning was done so that when our children were young and were in bed, no car noise would interrupt their sleep. Their sleep time was precious, not only because it kept them healthy, but it also kept us sane. We had quiet time to recharge while they did. I parked and leisurely walked up to our 2-story house. Terry's car was there, but it always was on workout day, as she said that she preferred the bus then. My head was already in the time to clean up space as I quietly entered the back door. I am a bit of a handyman, so every door hinge and moving component of our house was well maintained and quiet. Nothing annoyed us more than banging doors or squeaky hinges. The first thing I noticed was that Terry's handbag was still on the kitchen bench. She'll be pissed, I thought. Terry was a stickler for having her purse especially, always close at hand wherever she was. This anomaly corrected my cleaned-up mentality, and I started to notice other things. Her gym clothes, mostly a form-fitting leotard and large towel, were on the floor next to the kitchen bench. Then I heard noises coming from our bedroom upstairs. Maybe Terry became suddenly sick and was upstairs, I innocently thought. I carefully and quietly walked up the carpeted stairs, when I almost tripped on some shoes on the steps. They were men's shoes. They weren't my shoes, nor were the long trousers, shirt, singlet, and socks strewn up the remaining stairs, interspersed with Terry's panties and bra, her sexy ones, which only came out during wedding anniversaries. I am not a slow learner, just trustingly unaware that anything like this would be possible. At this point, my logical brain was at odds with the some amount of marriage experience with its underlying reliance on innocence, trust, and belief in the loyalty, love, and commitment of the marriage partner. I paused. My skin became sweaty, and my blood pressure dropped while my heart momentarily lost its rhythm. I had to sit down on the stairs and regain myself. My disbelief turned to anger, an emotion I am not used to. I am usually a quiet, calm, controlled man. Being a teacher, handling 30 different children all day enhanced that in me many years ago. But now that failed me. Adrenaline kicked in and I saw red for the first time in my life. I hadn't even been in a real fight with anyone before. These feelings were completely alien to me. Still, with all of these strange feelings invading my system, a macabre sense of curiosity made me gently and quietly proceed up the stairs and into our 2-way wardrobe. One door into the bedroom and another into the upstairs bathroom. By making my way through the ensuite bathroom, I could then go into the large walk-in robe which then connected to our bedroom. At the bedroom door of the wardrobe, I could see clearly into the bedroom. The robe door was slightly ajar and at just the right distance that I could see the bed. I felt like I was watching a horror movie. I could not look away. Then I had been hearing the moans and grunts all along. It was overloaded with pure rage and disbelief. I take out my phone and record what I was seeing. I would need this footage later to convince myself that all of this was real, and that I was not in the middle of some nightmare. I would need this to confront Terry about what I was seeing. My eyes were glued to the moving act of betrayal playing out before me. This was my wife, my lover, my life partner, the one whom I trusted beyond doubt, the mother of our grown children, the 40-ish woman who worked out, helped neighborhood charities, and said she loved me beyond all else. This was betrayal, betrayal at the most primal basic level. I had to stop recording, quickly creep downstairs. I left our yard and started walking. To where I don't know, but I ended up in some park many miles from our house. There I washed my face, sat down and watched the recording, with the sound turned down, so as not frighten the children playing all around me. The destruction of my life and all I had grown to find normal was there in digitized reality on my phone screen. The destruction of our marriage. It was then that I cried. I felt like a balloon, floating along with the wind, held only by a string to stop from disappearing into the sky. Update. It was about 7 p.m., my usual staff meeting day return time. I was again at home, at my back door when Terry saw me. She immediately realized there was something wrong with me. The disheveled shirt, red eyes and pale skin were dead giveaways. Honey, what's wrong? You look really pale. Is everything all right? I'll get you a drink. Are you okay? Her eyes told me that she was genuinely concerned. I couldn't tell her what really set me off. I just answered in a shaky voice, not really. Something upset my stomach. Maybe lunch. I was taking a shower and going to bed. Terry replied, okay hon, but take a container with you to bed. If you puke, it might be on the nice clean sheets. Those sheets, they were clean, but now had been soiled by far worse than last night's dinner. They were soiled by the stains of pure betrayal. I replied a little more forcefully, it's okay. I will sleep in the spare room until I feel better, and wandered to the spare downstairs bedroom. And that was it for the next few days. Terry was her normal self. I was on autopilot with work and slept in the spare room, in case I puked. I knew I couldn't keep up that excuse for long though. I eventually moved back into our bedroom, but had huge problems sleeping in this cheater's nest. Terry seemed oblivious to my unease and continued in her usual manner. Monday came and I had made up my mind about what to do. I needed to know if this was an ongoing thing or was it a standalone. I informed my principal that I would be having an unexpected medical procedure the next day, and he organized a temp teacher to take my class. Tuesday morning, I left as usual, but parked a few streets down the neighborhood and walked back to our street. I knew the back entrances to the yards near our house and carefully, so I wouldn't be observed by any neighbors, made my way to our garage at the back of the house. There I changed into casual clothes and soft socks for walking quietly. It was then a waiting game. I remembered that there was no extra car at home when I arrived home unexpectedly last Tuesday, so I would not be able to rely on the sound of a car arrival to inform me of any visitors. The bast must walk here. I crept carefully around our gardens until I was in a spot which allowed me to see our front door while being screened by the hedges and bushes we had planted for privacy from the road. I waited. Terry could be heard going about her chores, totally oblivious to my presence. Her confidence that the normal routine was occurring was obvious. Kitchen, washing up, dishwasher, lounge, vacuuming and dusting. This went on until about 11:30. Terry then went upstairs. I could just hear the shower followed by a period of silence, followed by the flushing of the toilet. She came back down about 45 minutes later and opened the front door, left it open so that if someone came, they would not have to hesitate. I didn't have long to wait. About 12:30 he came. I did not know who he was, but he had walked in from the left side of our front gate. My phone took about 10 seconds of video which recorded side profiles and even an almost straight-on view of his face. He didn't hesitate. He was straight in and through the door. The next words I heard made my blood curdle. Hey lover, I hope you are dressed for a big workout again. Of course, came the reply from Terry. You always love it when I wear these. I sometimes wonder if it was these that attracted you to me in the first place. Or maybe it was these. I definitely did not need to see any more to confirm my suspicion that this was indeed an ongoing affair, not just a one-off event. It seemed that they almost had a well-practiced routine to their sex sessions. I had seen enough. I could not see any more from my vantage point anyway without risking an entry into the house. They had only just moved into the bedroom. I retraced my steps to the garage and took stock. My heart was still going nuts. I needed to calm down. But I also needed to find out more. Who, where, why? How was I going to tell Terry that I knew of her affair? What she was doing? It had all just been thrown into my world in a blur. I came to the realization that I would never love my wife Terry again. The betrayal went too deep. I know that some people say that these things can be overcome with correct counseling and a degree of commitment from both parties. But hey, Terry's level of commitment was fairly obviously low. I would never again enjoy sex with her. I had not seen any forms of protection anywhere. Not that sex was an oft-experienced event lately anyway. If she was happily having sex with others, then there was no telling what she could pick up. The why bothered me the most. Why was she doing it? And why didn't she discuss these newfound wants with me first? I realized that the sexual betrayal was just an outward manifestation of a deeper lack of trust and willingness to share intimacy. My marriage was absolutely fallen apart. She betrayed our marriage right down. Where had all of this started and when? I knew that Terry had been going to her gym workout sessions for at least 2 years. Terry went to the gym 2 bus stops from our house, one that was frequented by many of the married ladies in our neighborhood. I thought that it was a great idea as it helped Terry connect with other females and build a small community feel for those around us. These women became very connected with her. They even convinced her to help with the many charity drives in the neighborhood. Maybe the gym would be where I could start. Update 1. As a teacher, I had access to computers, printers, etc. I printed out profile pictures from my phone footage and decided to start with finding out the who first. Maybe that would lead to where and when this craziness started. I did not have much searching to do. The next Thursday, Terry had her normal gym session and I suggested that I come along too so that I could decide if I should also join. It was midterm, so I had the week off school. Terry was not very receptive to this, making excuses like, "It's only a bunch of married ladies there and they mostly talk all session." Or the weakest of excuses sounded like, "Who's going to be home while I'm at the gym?" I persisted though and managed to tag along on the next Thursday. At first as I walked into the gym, it was almost like the who ordered milk in the saloon situation. All eyes were on me and I also noted some sideways mutterings from many of the ladies. Terry dismissed this with me by saying that the ladies were not used to seeing her accompanied to her regular gym sessions. The session progressed with the usual warm-ups and stretching. This was followed by an hour and a half of exercise station switching so that each muscle area was developed appropriately. I went along as long as I could, but had to stop and take a breather about 45 minutes in. Actually, my blood sugar started to lower and I knew that I had to stop and eat some sweet stuff fairly quickly. I did that and Terry understood. After taking the jelly beans and waiting in a side chair, I took more notice of Terry and saw that she was obviously very nervous. She kept glancing at the staff area where the instructors entered the main hall from. I also began to take more notice of the gym around me. It looked much like all gyms the world over. Exercise stations positioned all over, with wall mirrors at each station so that participants could self-monitor their stance and muscle definition at each point. I wandered around, then noticed a wall with staff information situated near the exit to the hall. I went there, more as a distraction and as a way to fill in the time till Terry finished. I glanced at the top photo, a woman of some indeterminate age, well-shaped and definitely extremely fit. Figures, I thought as I read her description. Ms. Elizabeth Wiles, director and owner. This was followed by her cell phone contact number and hours of availability. Under her photo were 3 others, 2 women and 1 man. It was here that I froze. He was Terry's lover. This was the lowlife who was ducking my wife, albeit with her passionate permission. I read his description. Mr. Philip Bonte, head of exercise regime planning and personal body training. As I made a mental note of his phone number, I glanced in Terry's direction and noticed that she wasn't at the last station that I just saw her at. I walked back to my side seat and slowly studied each station looking for my wife. Eventually, I found her in a seemingly desperate conversation with a man who was partly hidden from me by some powerlifting apparatus. He looked to be at the door to the staff area, and had obviously been stopped from entering ... by Terry. She made a definite gesture for him to go and raced back to the station which she was supposed to be at. She hadn't noticed that I had noticed her absence and discussion. I was seething. Again, it was an emotion that I was not used to experiencing, and by the time Terry came back to where I was sitting, she again saw that I was unwell. "Are you okay? Did your sugar take a while to recover?" "Yeah, I'm okay now though. Are you ready to go?" She was about to answer when Ms. Wells announced on the gym's pod that tonight's usual final session of exercises would not happen, as Mr. Bonnie took ill all of a sudden and had to go home. This was met by a chorus of groans and sighs by most of the women there. It seems that his session was almost the highlight for most of these ladies. This needs investigating, I pondered as I looked at Terry. She didn't make a sound as the announcement was made, but almost seemed relieved. "Let's go," she hurriedly said as she collected her towel and handbag from the seating area where everyone stored their belongings during the workout. We were just exiting when one of the ladies whom I didn't at first recognize came over to talk to Terry. "Such a shame that Phil couldn't finish off as usual tonight," she commented. "True," replied Terry and made a beeline for the car in such a way that it was very clear to the lady that Terry didn't want to talk about that right then. "Okay, see ya," squeaked Terry dismissively. She was in the car more quickly than I had ever seen her do that. Ever. The ride home was a quiet affair. Terry just relaxed, or seemingly so. She had her head back, eyes closed and forcing herself to breathe slowly. I did notice these things. Maybe I could find out more from her now that she was obviously very relieved about something. "So, that was an interesting session, dear," I commented. The station seemed to be really well set up. No wonder you are looking so trim and fit. Thanks, honey, she replied. You're right. They certainly have a substantial program set up there. I love going there. The ladies are nice there too. Shame about Mr. Bounty though, I pressed. You mean Bounty, she replied, a little too quickly. Philip Bounty. He usually finishes every session with an exercise regime which really puts everyone through their pace and leave knowing they have really pushed their bodies to the limit. Yeah, it was a shame that he didn't show up tonight. Oh no, I thought. She is really into the lie 100%. I know the limits that he is pushing your body to very well. But I actually said, maybe next Thursday he will be feeling better again. I thought about the upcoming sex session between my wife and Mr. Bonnie next Thursday. It was time to get serious. At school the next week, I was on pickup duty. For the non-school readers, that is when teachers supervise an area for parents to pick up their school children by car. This is usually a hectic area where kids are frantic to go home, talk to their friends, and look for their parents at the same time. It is also a rush time for parents, trying to remain patient while being in an endless car queue which stops and starts hoping that their child is ready when they get to the end of the queue. Imagine my surprise when, towards the end of the time, a car rolls up and the driver is the lady who tried to speak to Terry at last night's gym workout. Hi, she said. Sorry, but I am new to this whole pickup thing and forgot about the time entirely. Is my son, Timothy, here? As teachers, we get that all the time, especially when someone is new to the school. So I promised that I would go and look for him while my fellow teachers supervised the few remaining kids. I found Timothy waiting near his classroom, talking with another staff member's child. Hi, Tim, I said. Your mom is here to pick you up. Better come down to the pickup with me. He looked slightly confused by this. He was in the last year of primary school and didn't seem the type to be scatterbrained about pickups, etc. That's strange, he quipped. Mom is usually busy with her gym instructor on Friday afternoons. She is often late to pick me up. At my last school, she sometimes didn't come till about 5:30. The words gym instructor immediately got my hackles up. I pressed further, trying to remain calm and just be conversational with him. Good to see that Mom is looking after herself. Exercise is a very important part of a healthy lifestyle. Who is the instructor, by the way? I hoped that the answer would not be what I was expecting. Oh, his name is Bounty, or something like that, answered Timothy. He also works at a local gym and often takes people for private lessons at their homes. That's what I would like to be when I become an adult. Mom really enjoys being with him for her exercises. On Friday nights, she is really relaxed and seems to be glowing by the time we get home. It's great. It's always takeout night because Mom rarely has time to cook a meal on Fridays. No way, I thought. This Bonnie character is doing this to more people than just my wife. I escorted Timothy back to his car where his mom proclaimed loudly how grateful she was for our concern. No probs, I said. Just part of the service. By the way, I haven't met you before. My name is Gerard Downs. All the kids call me Mr. D for short. Pleased to meet you. I shook her hand and she replied, Hi, Mary Jones. I remember seeing you at the gym last Thursday. I came with my wife Terry. Sorry, but she seemed a bit rushed when leaving. Mr. Bounty's absence seems to have messed everyone up that night. At this point her whole demeanor changed drastically. While before she was just an apologetic late parent picking her child up from school, she now instantly became pale and guarded. She was almost shaking. Yes, okay. I will see you again, Mr. Downs. Bye. And drove off. Update 2. Time to plan my future. Something I thought I had done in consultation of my then sweetheart, Terry. This future looked bleak. It only featured me, by myself, without Terry definitely, but maybe also without anyone. My anger allowed me to travel down a road I never thought I would explore. The path of revenge. I started to take stock of all the important little details which get hidden in the everyday life of a couple. Who pays the bills? What insurance company are we with? When do we pay our utility bills? Which account does this or that bill get paid from and when? Etc. My database of all of this info started to grow. I found that we had only a small amount to pay off our mortgage, and that my superannuation account had built up to a staggering $900,000. Thank God for our teachers' union, which insisted that compulsory super contributions should be part of a teacher's basic conditions of employment. I figured, after reading the topic as much on the internet as possible, without Terry knowing, that there was no way that I could escape the fact that all of our assets had to be split evenly. Our children were no longer dependent on us. We did have quite a bit saved in a cash account, ready for a planned overseas trip. About $30,000. That trip would not be happening now. I decided my first act would be to deplete that account as fast as possible before Terry got wind of the fact that I had discovered her betrayal. I surreptitiously made many of the appliances in our house suddenly not work. A disconnected wire here, etc. while she was not at home. I would always say the Mr. So-and-so came to fix the said appliance and that he charged $ such and that he did it for cash for a little less. This cash I would secret away and then fix the appliance. Using this method, I had managed to secret about $20,000 away. I had also bought tools, etc., always with cash, showed them to Terry and then returned the tools the next day for a cash refund. Deceitful, I know, but the values of honesty and trustworthiness had already disappeared from our relationship because of Terry's actions. The whole scenario was turning me into something I never thought I could be. A liar. Terry's Thursday afternoon workouts with Bonnie continued. I no longer even tried to maintain a sexual relationship with Terry. We just lived together as two housemates would. My personal items slowly started to disappear into boxes into the garage. Terry never really went into the garage, so the rearrangement wasn't noticed. Her car was usually just parked in front of it. She was content to leave the garage as my turf. Once, she questioned the fact that some of my personal stuff was not on the shelves anymore. I just put it off, saying that I broke it by mistake or that I didn't really want it anymore. She seemed happy with these responses, mainly because most of my things did not really match Terry's color scheme or what she wanted the room to feel like. When most of my stuff was in that manner away, it really didn't make much difference in the house. It made me realize how much I had relented to allow Terry to dominate much of our existence. I withdrew all of the superannuation which I could and bought a small house, a very small house on the outskirts of the town. It only had 2 bedrooms and a small yard, but it had a garage and was near enough to the school that I worked at. The good part was that the balance of the mortgage was such that I could easily manage the repayments, even on half of my salary. This was not a mansion. It is amazing what a bargain is to be had if only we didn't all want to be in glitzy, popular suburbs. My separation was in motion. I gradually brought my personal items into the new house. Furniture was not an issue, as I could easily pick up second-hand or pre-loved items at charity shops. That was what my life felt like, pre-loved. Loved once, but now forgotten and reliant on charity to have any value. It was time for the players to get their just rewards. It was about this time that I again had contact with Mary Jones. This time, she was the one who initiated contact. I will always remember it. Again, it was at pickup after school. She was the last parent to come, so I was on my own with Timothy, her son, waiting for her to arrive. When she did, she looked around and I could also see that she was very nervous and looked like she was crying recently. Teachers notice these things as it often points to what is happening in students' lives and gives us a clue about how to help those kids learn better. "Mr. D, can I see you for a minute?" she asked nervously. "Sure, no one is coming, so just stay parked there and come over to my office," I replied. I always referred the benches around the school as my office. She parked. Timothy played with his soccer ball, and we sat together on the bench near the pickup area. "I don't know how to start what I want to tell you," she began. "I don't know how much you know about the gym that you saw me in." I stared at her directly. "I know that Terry, my wife, loves going there and that it has really helped her keep fit and active," I cautiously replied. "There are things you need to know about what goes on there," she continued. I could tell that she was tearing up and finding it very difficult to speak. "Does it have something to do with Philip Bonte?" I asked, attempting to get her to the point as quickly as possible. "You have no idea how much it has to do with that pig," she stated vehemently. "I think I may know, but tell me what you wanted to tell me," I encouraged. "Well," she continued more confidently, "he is a player. His only reason for being there is to sleep with as many of the regular women there as possible." "How do you know this?" I inquired. "Because I was one of them," she blurted out tearfully. "The only reason I am telling you this is because I have come to realize who and more importantly, what he is. Up until a week ago, we had a regular sexual relationship. He would come to my place each Friday at about 12:30. Don't get me wrong, he was a master. He knew exactly how to get all of my bells ringing." At this point, she stared out to the sky wistfully, as if reliving one of those past sessions. I also stared out, but for a different reason. I was also remembering his sessions, but not wistfully. "Sorry," she continued. "I really liked what he was doing to me while it lasted. It was only when he had someone else for that time slot that he dropped me like a sack of potatoes. No reason, just sorry, no more. I actually thought that we might have a future. I am divorced and have missed the regular loving of a marriage relationship and was really looking forward to living that again. But this time with him, how wrong I was. I was flabbergasted. How the duck did this woman feel it was okay to share all of this with me? She must be really pissed off. Marriage relationships aren't always what we think," I replied, a little too quickly. She looked into my face and saw the hurt and agony there. You already know, don't you? She asked slowly, shaking her head in disbelief. You already know that he has been having it off with Terry, your wife. Yes, I knew, Mary. Thank you for sharing this, failing miserably at keeping the venom out of my voice. But I already have a swing in motion about the whole situation. I really believe in karma, and I think that it might manifest itself soon. That Bast has to pay, Mary almost yelled. He has no care about who or how he hurt, just to satisfy some sexual prowess, something he can brag about to all of his mates at the pub. If you want me to help you get back at him, let me know. That Bast has to pay and pay dearly, she repeated. She called her son over and left. I sat there for quite a while and thought. Update 3. I was almost relieved that Mary had shared that with me. For a while there, my plan for revenge just seemed like sour grapes on my part for not being able to maintain my marriage. This needed more thought. I wondered how many more women he was involving from the gym. It was time to get some facts together. I couldn't help but admire the man's stamina, but I guess even the devil never gets tired. I learned that he worked there every day except Monday, which is when the gym was closed. I remembered the phone number listed on the wall at the gym. Using the telecom's white pages, I backtracked the number to an address not more than 3 blocks away from our own address. No wonder that dickwad could walk to our place to screw the shit out of my wife, soon-to-be ex-wife. I informed Terry that I would be going for a walk each day at about 5 p.m. I told her that it was my specialist who insisted that I do it. Luckily, Terry didn't want to tag along, and she knew that it would not interfere with her trysts, so it all went smoothly. In the first evening walk, I made straight for Bonte's address and saw that he lived in a ground-floor apartment in a block of several of these apartments. His car wasn't there, so I waited nearby to see when he arrived. He was always away from our house well before 6, so I guess it would be routine for him to arrive about that time. Bang on, he walked into his apartment just before 6. This happened each day that I could walk, except for my staff meeting day, which was when I couldn't walk. I figured that he did this each day that the gym was open. Did he have a woman to screw each of these days? I intended to find out if he was visiting other women. My walks became earlier and earlier just to see when and where he was going each day. I decided to take a whole week off school for just that purpose. I visited an electronics store and bought what I needed. A long-range listening device, one of those discreet ones, not the one that looks like a satellite dish. Voice and motion-activated cameras, full-color HD ones. I bought 5 of those. An extra portable hard drive for my computer. I had to store all of the digital evidence somewhere. Monday, after purchasing the desired items, I installed one of the cameras in Bonte's apartment. Luckily, it wasn't that big really. More like a one-bedroom apartment with a large living and kitchen dining area. One camera was enough to cover everything except his bedroom. Getting it in there was easy. I just waited till he went to the gym and got his apartment keys from where he left them, under the doormat. The idiot couldn't even be more creative than that. After checking to make sure that the camera worked, I left. Now whenever he moved or made a noise in his apartment, the camera, with microphone, would activate and send all of the video and audio live to stream on my computer, where it would also be stored with date stamps. It started working as soon as Bonte arrived back home on Monday night. There was very good footage of him eating a takeout meal in front of his TV before he went to bed at about 9 p.m. Tuesday, I waited until the gym closed and broke in through the back door. This was the one which is often neglected in the pre-close check in most stores. I was lucky. I placed the next camera in the private room near the back where clients come for personal health appraisals. The one where Bonte often took his private clients. What sort of man had I become? Cameras in other people's places. Spying. Where would this end? Wednesday, I waited until Terry went out for groceries and placed the 3rd and 4th cameras in our bedroom and in our living area. I reviewed the footage from Tuesday and was surprised by what I saw and heard, but not really, considering the context. Bonte woke up and immediately went out. He came back later with breakfast. Lazy Bast can't even make breakfast for himself, I thought. He stayed home until the gym opened and was out of there at 10:30. He did make one phone call, which was interesting. Julie, hi, it's Phil. Is he gone yet? Okay, see you at 12:30. Your place. Make sure to wear what I said. No, I will be careful. No one will see me enter your place. Did you say he was going for 3 days? Okay, maybe I can come on Thursday. And Friday as well. Talk this afternoon, lover. With that, he hung up and left with a definite spring in his step. I wondered how he would explain that one to Terry. Thursday, I took myself down to the garage with my computer and waited for the fun to start. Almost immediately, Bonte's camera streamed to my screen. He had awoken, and after going out for his breakfast again, he returned and dialed. It was Terry's phone. The camera streamed her side of the conversation as well. Hey, it's Phil. How's my favorite slot feeling today? Phil, don't talk like that on the phone. You never know who could be listening. Luckily, my husband has gone to work. See you at 12:30 as usual. Final update. Mary, the parent from school, seemed eager to help in any way, so I asked her to get a list of women that Bast was screwing, or had screwed in the past. This she did with gusto, and within a week she had names and addresses. Terry's name was also on the list, a fact which filled me with shame and anger. I had, by now, almost completely extricated myself from our house. I won't call it a home, because it had lost all of that emotional value. It was now merely a house. Terry did comment once about how it seemed strangely more empty lately. I just replied that I was making a determined effort to declutter my stuff. She accepted that as it did not impact on her stuff. It even gave her more room to spread out her things. The garage items were now also moved to my new house. All it would take for me to move out completely was a 20-minute gathering of the remaining stuff and a drive out in my car. I had seen a divorce lawyer, and the papers were all prepared to serve at a moment's notice. The financials were set. Our holiday fund was completely drained into my own account. I kept all of the receipts for the fake purchases in a folder, ready to supply if needed. My superannuation fund beneficiaries were changed to our children and any available withdrawal amount was withdrawn. I had my own accounts, my own credit cards, my own insurance policies. I had changed Terry's car and registration and insurance all over to her name only. She would be entirely responsible for that from now on. The house I had no control over, so I had to be at the mercy of the courts there. I bought a new mobile phone in my name only and made sure that it had an unlisted number. The original phone I canceled. I prepared a bundle of goodies for each husband, partner of the women listed by Mary. Each bundle included details of when and where Bast had screwed their partners. It also included his name and address. The final item included was an address for the sexual health clinic in our town, as most sex seemed to be unprotected. I also sent a detailed letter to the owner of the gym, stating that now would be a good time to have a serious talk with her head instructor. I left the divorce papers, some printed photos from the video surveillance of Bast and Terry, along with DVDs of the trysts on our kitchen table. My wedding ring was sawn in half and covered in excrement beside this bundle. The note I left under it read, "Terry, I left you this broken ring covered with the same shit you put on our marriage. Don't contact me unless it is through the lawyer mentioned in the divorce papers. I have asked the school to ban you from entering the school grounds, so please don't try to contact me there. Police arrest happens quickly to anyone causing trouble on school grounds. I have informed our children of what I am doing, just so there is no confusion about the reason and so that no lies can be told about who instigated this breakup. I have sent copies of the DVDs to them." Epilogue. I drove to my new house and waited for the shit to hit the fan. And it did with a passion. Somehow, the local papers got hold of the scandal at a local gym. The owner had no choice but to shut up shop and leave the town. A certain ex-gym instructor was found within back alley downtown. It was believed that he was set upon by an unknown group of assailants, all male. There was a sudden influx of divorce petitions to the local court, and many houses were put up for sale. Terry came home that fateful day, saw my parting gifts and promptly fainted. A neighbor heard the scream and saw her fall to the ground. It didn't take our old neighbor, a stout old woman of 70, to notice the bundle also. She quickly realized why Terry had fainted. She always was a switched-on lady. She did phone emergency before she left the house, with the door open. Terry did try to contact me, but she had no luck on any of the phones we had. She even tried to come to the school, and was subsequently arrested. One night in the watch house and a stern warning from a magistrate slowed down her efforts hugely. Our children let her know in no uncertain terms what they thought of someone who would cheat so blatantly on her husband. They were both married also and thankfully had inherited more ethical views on fidelity from me, obviously not Terry. The divorce went through and in its normal process the remaining financials were sorted out. Terry had to sell the house, and the proceeds allowed her to buy another smaller house in the outer suburbs where she lives now, alone. The shame of being outed as one of the now infamous gym slots never left her. Her face was known and whenever she went uptown, there were many sideways glances and sly snickers. The resulting depression caused by this rejection and shame eventually led to her being cared for in a mental hospital. Me, I continued teaching, living in my new home. My reaction: Mr. Gerard Downs got his revenge, but I guess there are no winners when all that's left is loneliness and grief over the betrayal of a cheating spouse. Maybe not a day passed when Mr. Gerard Downs did not feel the loneliness and emptiness of that place. The love of his home with his wife and children is the same as before. Thank you for joining us on Revolving Time. where we bring you real-life stories that explore the complexities of the human experience. We hope that our stories have provided you with insights, inspiration, and a renewed appreciation for the power of human resilience. We encourage you to subscribe to our channel and stay connected with our community. By subscribing, you will be the first to know about new stories and events, and you'll have access to a library of inspiring content. Thank you for being a part of our journey, and we look forward to sharing more powerful stories with you in the future.